Well, let's do a restart. Well, hey, good morning again. Thanks for coming out to today's class. We're going to be talking about teaming and joint ventures today. So if you are looking to grow your business in the government market, you have to understand about how to team and how to partner with other companies in the government market. Before I dive into our training here, I want to give a quick shout out to Charles with South Star Capital. Raise your hand. Stand up, Charles. So South Star Capital is one of our strategic partners, alliance partners here at GCA. And then in the back, we have Aflac in the back. Stand up, stand up. And they are a very important part of what we do here. And all of you, who got snacks this morning? All right, so you want to make sure you stop on the way out there and tell Aflac thank you for the snacks, okay? So make sure you stop by there and learn about what Aflac does to support the small business community, because as a small business community, you can actually recruit better if you have Aflac on your team. You can actually give more benefits if you have Aflac on your team, and you can actually decrease your costs if you have Aflac on your team. So make sure you get a chance to say hi to them on the way out. And they have some ducks back there that if you squeeze it, it will Aflac on you. So make sure you go back there and say hi to them on the way out. We have some folks online with us as well, so I welcome everybody joining us online. If you're online, you are on mute right now, and throughout the session, throughout this presentation here, feel free to ask questions as we go along. So you don't have to wait to pause to get going. I need to get my clicker. And then now, who does not know who I am? If you know who I am, if everybody knows who I am, I won't go into my story. If you don't know who I am, I'll take a few minutes to kind of share my story a little bit. Everybody want to hear my story? Okay, so you guys know me. Okay, so good. So we just dive into it. But let me do a quick side check of why I do what I do here. I do this here because when you empower other people and companies go out there and win millions and millions of dollars in contracts, they will travel the world to come and give me a hug. So I do this here for hugs. I have a lady, she's in South Carolina. We never met. And she became a member, got into a training program. And her first contract was a small little contract in California, $25,000 doing babysitting. And she went and watched about 50 kids in California, and she got paid $25,000 to do a 2 days of babysitting, watching 50 kids. And after she won that contract, she went back to South Carolina, she drove down here. She said, Abe, I'm gonna come, I'm gonna give you a hug. She came down here, so I do this here for free hugs. So if you have lots of love to give, that's why we're here, because we want to get free hugs from you. But I'll start off by sharing you guys a story here. I used to do real estate, and for some of you who are in real estate, or who used to do real estate, or who wants to get into real estate is a great industry to be in. And when I was doing real estate, you go and search for homes all over the place. And I found this one house, and I went into this house, and you know that there's issues with this house because the grass is tall, right? The trees haven't been trimmed, so you automatically know, okay, there's issues with this house. Now, the uglier the home, the better the opportunity. So I'm excited, so I'm going to this house, going to buy this house, and excited that there's going to be a real opportunity. And so as we walked in the house, I see a dirt trail. It's a dirt trail, and it's like a path that's been walked many, many hundreds of times, thousands of times. And on that track, you go into the garage, and it's a carport, and you walk through there, and then you go into the kitchen, and you walk through the kitchen, and you go into the kitchen, there's trash everywhere. And you see dishes piled up. And you walk from the kitchen to the living room, and trash is almost, I am not super, I'm not an NBA player. I'm sput web, about 4 inches shorter than sput web. So I go in there and trash is almost as tall as me. And I walk past the living room and I get to the bedroom. And this is a hoarder's home. And whoever lived there was a hoarder. And so to us it's trash, but to them it's value, right? And I go to the back of the house. The person is dead. And this is a vacant property. Person is dead. And I get to the back and I see that there is a drawer. And I open one of the drawers and jewelry. I'm talking about gold necklaces, pearls, watches, all kinds of expensive jewelry, and diamonds and emeralds, and it was like 3 drawers full of jewelry. I said, wow, that's why people, I like hoarders now. And so there's probably about close to $40,000-$50,000 worth of jewelry in this year. And so I get on the phone, I call the agent, and because I got to make sure you have a good partnership with the agent, right? I call my agent, I say, hey, I need you to put an offer on this house right now. And the agent's okay. So the agent called the other agent up and said, hey, we want to put an offer on this house right now. And the other agent said, someone just put an offer on it this morning. I was there about 11 o'clock. Someone beat me by a few hours. But no one knows that there's jewelry in the house. So I had a few things to do, a few decisions to make, right? Do I take the jewelry and forget about buying the house? And you know how life, sometimes, most of us are good by nature, right? We are criminals because we're criminals of opportunities. And I said, okay, you know what? So I took a pillowcase, and I started filling up the pillowcase with all this jewelry. And I said, I'm gonna be Santa Claus, and Santa Claus usually bring gifts to people. I'm gonna take gifts away from people. As I fill it up, you hear the other voice, right? The other voice says, don't do it. And one voice said, it's a lot of money, a lot of jewelry. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna listen to that voice, and I'm not gonna take it. And so I took all that jewelry and I put it in the closet, and there's trash everywhere, so I threw some more trash on top of it. And I said, if it's meant for me, the other contract is gonna fall through and they're not gonna be able to buy this house, and I'm going to come back and buy this house, and I get the house and all the jewelry with it. And so I walked by faith. And so I left the property, and I followed up a few weeks later and a month later, and somebody else closed on it. And it wasn't meant for me. But I tell you that story is because there's lots and lots of opportunities in the government market like that. There's jewelry everywhere, lots of projects. Sometimes it may not look good on the exterior, but it's inside, there's some valuable jewels there. And so you have to go out there and search for the opportunities. That is really the exterior of the story. But the key part to this story here is I need great partners. Who was my partner in this year? A real estate agent, right? I need a real estate agent that can give me the facts. And this is Abe. Unfortunately, it was already someone already put a contract in it. And so my success in real estate depends on all the partners that I have, from my agent to the construction crew, the construction companies that we work with, to the loan officer, the lending company, the banks. And so in everything we do, you need partners. Now that house didn't work out for me, but with the great partner of people, we were able to go out there and amass about $20 million worth of real estate in about 5-6 years. So we need a great team of partners like that. You as a business in the government market, you need a team of people. Who's your first partner here? Who's your first partner? GCA, right? Yeah, naturally, we're your partner. Southstar is your partner. They bring you the money. They bring you the money. Aflac, they are your partners. So don't discount all the partners that you need. You need partners to grow. And so today we're going to talk about partners in the government market. And so let's start there. So I want to start off by there's different types of partnerships that you need. In the government market, about 70% of projects requires more than just one company. You guys hear that? 70% of project requires more than one company to support that project. So if you are a medical supply, guess what? You don't manufacture any medical supplies. You need a partner to fulfill that project. So automatically you need more than just you there already. If you are in construction, you are not the electrician. You're going to need an electrician to partner with you to fulfill that project. If you're in IT, you don't have the IT personnel on staff. No one has a bunch of people sitting around waiting to go do project, right? As an IT company, you have a core team of people that's on project, and then when you get a project, then you bring in the skills and the personnel to go and help you fulfill that. So you're going to need partnerships, and 70% of project will require. In the government market, they call that bundling of services or bundling of contracts. So they bundle contracts together so that the contracting officer doesn't have to manage 20, 30 different contracts, little contracts. And so they like to bundle projects together. So you always have to go to the government market, understand that I need to amass a team of people for me. Now you need a team, you need a proposal writer, that's part of your team. If you're not a good writer, or if you don't have the time to learn to write, you may write well, but you may not write proposals well. So you may be a great freestyle writer. You need a good proposal writer. You need a good capture manager, someone who's going to go build relationships. Today, I'm not focused on those type of partners and relationships that you will need. I want to focus on the other businesses that you will need to partner up with to be successful in the government market. And in that type of relationship, the first type of relationship, we call that teaming. So teaming is where two or more companies come together to pursue a project. And that's teaming. That happens all the time. So let's take construction as an example. The government wants to build a $20 million new building. In that new building, do they need a plumber? Yes. Do they need an electrician? Yes. Do they need a roofer? Yes. Do they need a brick masonry person? Yes. Do they need a concrete pavement company? Yes. All of these things are true. They need drywall installers, all these different people to make sure that this building gets done. Do you think the contracting officer wants to manage 20 different small businesses doing work to build this building here? No. So who do they award it to? The plumber, the electrician, or who?
GC.
The GC. And what does GC stand for?
General contractor.
The general contractor. And this is a very important strategy for you as a business owner. All of you are here, and some of you, you understand that you have to be a GC to be successful in the government market. Some of you, you are the plumber, the electrician. And I use that as an example. You are in a niche market. You are a specialist. And as a specialist, you're not going to see all the opportunities because you're thinking, I didn't see a plumbing project. I didn't see an electrical project. You didn't see it not because there's not plumbing or electrical work. You didn't see it because you didn't position yourself as a general contractor. You have to follow the flow of money. The flow of money goes to a general contractor, not to the plumber. And so if you position yourself only as a plumber and you don't reposition yourself more as a generalist, as a GC in the government market, you're waiting for plumbing projects and you'll never see it. Now, do they need plumbing on every single building? Yeah, absolutely. So if you understand the flow of money, you reposition, you have two choices. Do I become more of a generalist and bring in a general contractor and license them with my company so that I can stop being a plumber and be more of a general construction company? And then the plumbing part I can do, and then the other part, what do I do with it? Sub it out, right? Let other company do the other part. So that's one strategy. Or if you choose to be a plumber and that's all you want to do is be a specialist, then you have to understand that the flow of money don't necessarily always go to plumber. In that situation, you need to learn to team up with a large GC company, and that when they bid on the contract, they're bidding with you as a subcontractor on that project. So that's how you reposition yourself. You either become a subcontractor to somebody else, or to be a prime, you have to position your company so that you have the maximum opportunities. So you becoming more of a generalist will give you more direct opportunities in that situation. And all of that means you have to understand teaming. You have to understand that you need other companies to be part of your team to be successful. So teaming has to do with, now in a teaming relationship, you are separate companies still. Company A and company B comes together and you go after contracts together. Now some teaming relationship may have more than one person, more than two companies. It could be 3 companies, 4 companies, 5 companies. The more companies, the more complex it gets. So I don't, if it's your first partnership in a teaming arrangement, I don't recommend doing more than 2 or 3 companies together. Start off with just you and one other company and start off at that scale. So teaming is, you have to, in a teaming relationship, enter into a formal agreement. It's not a verbal agreement, it's a formal agreement, and we actually call it a teaming agreement. And the teaming agreement is actually submitted with the proposal to the contracting officer. So that's part of how a teaming relationship works together. And in a teaming partnership, one company has to be the prime and everybody else is a sub. So you might, if you are a plumber, you'll be the sub in that situation. Or if you position yourself to be a generalist, then you will be the GC, and then you bring on a lot of subcontractors under you. Now, let me kind of get a quick feel in the room. What industry are you guys in? IT. IT? Okay. So IT, you can be a prime or a sub in that situation. So that's a very neutral industry. So what industry are you in? Financial services?
IT.
IT? Oh, okay, more IT. Okay, all right. So you position yourself as IT. That's good.
I'm actually both, but
Yeah. Okay, good. So the government IT is a lot stronger than financial services. So that's good. Anybody else? What industry are you in? Healthcare. Okay. What industry?
Technology. Sir.
Technology. All right. So lots of technology companies in here. Technology is so broad, and there is cybersecurity. That's a component of technology, right? There is cloud computing. That's a component of it. There is the staffing side of it. There is software programming and application development. And so there's very, very broad in that way. The broader you are, the better you are in the government market. In the commercial market, the more specialized you are, the more money you make. So it's really the opposite of the commercial market in the government space.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so say for instance, you was talking about electricians. Okay, so say for instance, you're the prime on the contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not prime, you're prime on the
Yeah.
contract. But then you brought in an electrician as a subcontractor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the job requires, just say for instance, that the electrician has a certain amount of knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but he don't have, he or she, they don't have a broad enough knowledge to do all of these different types of electrical work. So they have to bring in somebody else that they know.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it, so say that you got this electrician here and then you got like 3 arms underneath there for
Mm-hmm.
3 other electricians that's
Yeah.
doing something else that person is not really specialized in. So when as a subcontractor, that's the prime, and then you're paying, would you pay just that subcontractor that comes straight underneath, and then he pays the other people that he brought in to work with him on that project?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the question is, if you are the prime and you have subcontractors working directly as tier 1 sub to you, how do you deal with tier 2 or tier 3 subcontractors?
Brought on by the same person.
Yeah, and so that is up to the prime on how they treat that. And so you as a prime, you can say, hey, I'm bringing you on as a subcontractor. It doesn't matter if you use tier 2, tier 3. I just want the work done right. I'm paying you. However, they have to be in compliance with all the things that you're compliant under. And so if I require you to have insurance, they need to have insurance. They need, yeah, they need to enforce the same thing as the tier 2, tier 3. And so you have to protect your project by making sure you give them the flexibility to bring on other tier 2 and tier 3 subs to them, but you impose the same regulations that government imposed to you, you impose it to them as well. And that's part of your agreement.
So do you say to tier 1 that they're going to be the ones, so I'm putting one check and then you put them, so you're not directly involved?
Correct.
With tier
Yes,
2.
you do not need to be involved in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, because that becomes more management for you. As long as the work's done right and they're in compliance, you're good to go. Now, you can also require that you do not allow tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 subcontractors. So what that does is if they don't have the skill set, they have to hire people to work as an employee in their company for that project. And that's actually a safer route to go. But if it's a big project, you should if it's a small project, then that's a lot easier to manage. But if it's a big project, let them have the flexibility. But you want to make sure that, in construction, you want to make sure that that company is bonded, has bonding. And usually if the tier 1 have bonding, you're good to go, because usually that bond covers everybody else's work. Now, the other type of relationship is joint venture. Teaming, in a teaming agreement, when 2 companies come together or 3 companies come together, and that teaming agreement is submitted with a proposal, you have to work together. If it's awarded to your team, the government awarded that project based on the strength of all the companies that submitted that proposal together. So even though you're the prime and somebody else is the sub, or even though somebody else is the prime and you're the sub, the prime cannot say, I don't want to use that sub. The prime have to use a sub that is on the teaming agreement. Because the award was given with the premise that the past performance and the strength of these subs makes the company, the prime, stronger, and that's why they awarded the contract to the prime.
So what happens if something, this saying hypothetically, if something happens to that relationship after, like with the teaming agreement person? Isn't that what you said? That's what was on that teaming agreement?
Yes.
You have to keep that person that you have said that they would be the company that would be a part of it. But what if something happens to that relationship? Like, I know.
If it falls apart,
I'm just trying to.
We're going to talk about how to choose a partner in a second.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But if it does fall apart, then you want to make sure that it's amicably be as much as possible, and so that, because if you choose to fire them without cause, if it's cause on your part and you found out it's cause, then that's fine. If there's not a cause, they can go to the contracting officer and say, hey, I'm part of this project and they're not using me, and I'm going to file a protest. So there can be some potential issues like that.
I have a question about what you just said. You said the contract it's awarded based on the premise of the performance of the subs for that joint venture. So what's the requirements, or how is that determined?
Okay. So the question is, if a contract is awarded to a teaming partnership, how is that determined in terms of who does what and so forth? So in your teaming agreement, you will spell out that company A will do this, company B will do this here. And you kind of define that a little bit in the teaming agreement. But from a contracting officer perspective, they have requirements, right? So one of the requirements is that you have to have 3 past performance, and you as the prime only have 1. When you are bidding on a project, sometimes the contracting officer will require that there are 3 past performance relevant to the same project that you're bidding on. And if you've only done one project similar to the project and you haven't done more than that, that's the other reason why you need a teaming partner.
Okay.
And you use their past performance to make up for the other two that you don't have.
Oh, I see.
So now you meet all the requirements because now you have 3 past performance. One of the past performance came from you, the other 2 past performance came from your teaming partner, your subcontractor. And in that situation, you can't get rid of them because it was awarded based on the strength of the 2 companies.
Okay. Thank you.
That makes you not qualified for the project because you only have one of the 3 past performance.
One more question, based on piggyback. So, I've been wanting to get into a class like this, so I'm sorry. But okay, so the next thing is, so what if like the 8A firm?
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm awarded I see it.
I'm going to actually address 8A specifically in a second.
Okay.
So how 8A, because usually that goes into this here, teaming and joint ventures. If you are a certified women-owned, certified 8A, certified hub zone, and you have a teaming partner and it's a hub zone set aside, you will have to be the prime and your teaming partner have to be the sub. Because if it's set aside for hub zone or 8A or women-owned, then whoever is the prime have to meet the certification standards. And I'll address the details in a second here.
Okay.
So a joint venture is this here. 2 or more company comes together to fulfill projects similar to a teaming partnership. But the difference is the company can go and form a new company, a new LLC to manage that project. So 2 or 3 companies come together, usually 2 companies. Again, you don't want to do 3 or 4 or 5 companies unless it's like a really large project. Like when large, I mean 20, 30, 40 million dollar project. If it's $2 or $3 million project, only enter into like a 2 teaming and then use a lot of sub in the process. And all your subs do not need to be on the teaming or joint venture agreement. Because your joint venture or teaming agreement, anyone that you add onto that joint venture or teaming agreement have to be on the project with you. If you have someone you like, they can just be a sub and they don't necessarily need to be on the agreement. So in a joint venture, there's a lot of details, and so I'm gonna make this PowerPoint available. We'll put it up on the website. If you go to govassociation.org/download, probably by late this afternoon, we'll have it up there. So tomorrow you'll be able to go and download the PowerPoint from there so you can get all the details because there's a lot of details in this presentation here. So the difference between a joint venture and a teaming is you actually form a new company. And this new company, so company A, company B comes together. In a teaming company, A is the prime, B is the sub, and then you have a teaming agreement, you bid on the project. In a joint venture, A, B, 2 companies come together, they go form company AB LLC, and they go after contracts together. So for example, you have Turner Construction is a large company, and Smith 8A certified company is a smaller company. The joint venture they will both go form a new company, and it will be Smith Turner JV LLC. So usually if it's a joint venture, when you form your LLC, you want to have the letter JV after it so that it clearly identifies it to the government that this is a joint venture. So in a joint venture, you form a new company. 90% of the times, you form a new company.
So you can do that with your 8A.
Yes, you can do that. That's a very powerful tool. I'm going to explain to you why a joint venture is super powerful for you as an 8A company. And that is the best tool you can have is a joint venture with a large company. So here's an example. A and B comes together. They form a new company called AB. In fact, I forgot to put the JV. AB JV LLC. So it's a new company. And this new company will go after contracts together. All right, so let's go into all the different types of relationships that you'll need and how they interlink together. Now, many of you have seen this here. This is our relationship triangles in the government market. The green circles here forms a upright triangle here. So these are government relationships that you need to understand and have in place. The purpose of joint venture has to do with the large, small, and these orange circles here. So you're the vendor, you're the contractor, you're in the middle. I'm not going to spend time talking about the green circles today because that's not the purpose of today's meeting. The purpose is about the relationship that you need to form teaming so that you can end up winning contract with these green circles here. So you as a contractor, you need to have a relationship with other small businesses. Who in here is women certified as a women-owned certified company? Raise your hand. Jacqueline, you're woman certified. Anybody else certified as a woman? Who is certified as a hub zone? Raise your hand. Who is certified as an 8A company? Raise your hand. So all of you need to work on your certifications. Now, for those of you that didn't raise your hand, you need to see who raised their hand, and that's who you need to be part of your teaming partner. Because if you didn't raise your hand, when it's a 8A set aside, that means you can't bid on it because you're not 8A certified. So you're going to need an 8A company like Jacqueline's company, and you say, hey, Jacqueline, I need to be your best friend. I understand you're in medical supplies, but I want to sell IT supplies, IT software, and IT, hardware to the government. And Jacqueline, she's a smart business person. She said, yeah, I know medical supplies, but yeah, if you are the IT expert and you understand hardware and software, we can go into a teaming or into a joint venture, and she can bid on IT supplies and IT software and hardware. And you are the one that's providing that to her, and then she just makes money with you doing the work. And that's part of how this work here. So you're going to need relationship with people that have HubZone, Service Disabled Veteran Certification, Section 3 certification, MBE certification, WBE certification, WSB certification, EDWSB, all the certifications out there. If you don't have it, you're going to need somebody to have it, or else you're going to be looking out the window and not being in the being able to participate. So that's why teaming is very important. You need to have a relationship with other businesses. So that's the first type. You need other businesses that have certification. Now, the second type of small businesses that you will need is you need other small businesses that have parallel industries that you're not in. So for example, if you're in IT, you may be good at staffing software programmers and software engineers. That may be your sweet spot. But when it comes to actual hardware and software, you're no good at that. Software off the shelf, you're not a Microsoft partner. You're not a hardware partner with Hewlett Packard and Dell and Ingram Micro and so forth. You don't have those relationships. So you're going to need a partner that's they're in IT also, but they're good at software and hardware, and you're good at the people side. Because when you go bid on a project, because they bundle projects together, right? I started this conversation about government bundle projects together. And when they bundle projects together, they want the people solution. They also want the hardware solution. They also want the software solution with it. If you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to bid on it. Or you can learn to be everything, but that takes time. That might take 5 years to set up all your partnership and for you to build up enough credibility for Microsoft to make you a silver or gold partner. So that takes too much time. It's better just to build a relationship with someone, trust them, get to know them, and then team together or joint venture together. So you're going to need other parallel industry. If you're in construction and you're a plumber, you're going to need electricians to be part of your team. You're going to need GCs to be part of your team. So that's kind of why all these other small businesses, you need them together. You also need large companies. And when you're dealing with large companies, you need large company for two main reasons. One, you need large company because they're winning contracts and they need subcontractors. And they're going to give you some projects to work on. So that's why you need large company, because naturally they're going to need subcontractors. And so it's a natural fit in that regard. The other reason is you need large companies because they can bid on small business set-aside projects. If it's set aside for women, they can't bid on that. If it's set aside for 8A, they can't bid on that. So they're going to need small businesses to open up more doors for them because they don't want to compete only against other large companies. They want a unique angle to be part of that. So you had a question?
I did have a question. Is there a sort of an aggregation of how to find these large primes?
Yes, that is a different training. That is a marketing and relationship training. And so today I'm teaching you about joint venture and teaming, but not necessarily marketing and relationship building. Because we can't fit all of that into one session.
Sure.
But yeah, but there is a training on that. How to build relationship, how to find these large companies, how to find the small companies so that you can actually build the teaming relationships. Yeah, we've done that class. We've done that. Yeah, we've done the relationship class, the marketing relationship class multiple times. So if you go to the training vault, you'll see one of the old recordings. Yeah, but we have new ones coming up too. So you need large companies. Now, here's what you need to understand about large companies. By regulation, large companies are required to subcontract 35% to small businesses. Did you catch that? What percent?
35%.
Generally 35%. Now, in some projects, they are actually required to subcontract 50% to small businesses. Sometimes it may be less than 35. Most of the time, it's going to be 35 or more. Construction is usually more than 35% that needs to be sub to small businesses. IT, it could be 35, it could be, generally IT is more like a 35%, but any contracts over $750,000, large companies are required to sub to small businesses. So that's why you want to do subcontracting work with them. When you're doing subcontracting work with them, who is the person that you need to get to know with the large company? What's their title? It's a goofy name, huh? Yes, in some way, but what's the official title? It's right here. The SBLO. So you need to build a relationship with this SBLO. The SBLO is a Small Business Liaison Officer, and their role is to find small businesses so that their large company can meet the 35% subcontracting goal, or 50% in some situation.
So is this somebody that's hired on like with the SBA or somebody?
No, they're in the company. They're with a large company, yes.
Oh.
Now, sometimes they don't know that that's their title.
Oh.
They are often called the diversity manager.
Diversity.
Okay. So they know their title as a diversity manager. They may not know their title as the SBLO. So when it comes to government contracting, that is the title that government contracting officer assigns to the diversity manager. But most large companies have a supplier diversity program, and they have, a diversity manager. In the absence of a diversity manager, the other person that you want to talk to is the subcontracting manager. The subcontracting manager is the person who is responsible, making sure that there's enough subs to make sure that the projects are done. Now, sometimes they don't go by that title. They might just be the program manager or the project manager, and their job is to make sure that the project is successful. So they carry many different titles. You just have to navigate, because different large companies, they have a different titles for their people. So you just have to understand that all of this is the same. Part of dealing with the large companies, the large company must have a small business program. And the small business program, again, in the commercial sector, we call that a supply diversity program. In the government market, that is a small business program. And in the small business program, when a large company submits a proposal to the government, and it's a large project, they are required to submit a small business plan. And in their small business plan, and that's part of the proposal. In the small business plan, it outlines what their small business program looks like. It outlines what percentage they're going to award to women-owned business, what percentage they're going to subcontract it to 8A companies, what percentage they're going to sub to veteran businesses. And if they have a generic plan, then they just say, hey, our goal is to sub 10% to women businesses, 8% to 8A companies, 3% to hub zone companies, They might just have a generic small business plan. But the successful large company, they actually have a specific plan. They can have a percentage goal of how they're trying to meet that 35%, but they actually say, we have these 5 women-owned businesses that we are already working with, and they're going to be working with us on this project. We have these 20 8A companies that we have been working with, and they are part of this project, and we're submitting their names and their 8A certification status with this project. What you want to do is you want to be one of the names that's identified. Because if you are identified as one of the 8A companies on the project, then they will use you on the project. If they only have a percentage, they can use anybody. If they identify specific companies, they have to use you because you're part of the small business program that they submitted with the proposal. Now, every now and then, large companies use your name without you knowing, or even with you knowing, but they don't actually use you.
Is that, they can do that?
They're not supposed to.
Right.
But you as a small business, if they use your name to win a contract, but they don't use you as a sub on the project, what are your choices? What are your options at that point?
I mean, you can either demand, I think that they use you, or either file suit.
Yeah, filing suit is called protest.
Protest, okay.
So you can file a protest to the contractor office and say, hey, I am part of this project here, and the contract was awarded because we're part of the small business program, but this company have not used us on it. But that comes with some risk, right?
Right, yeah.
The risk is the large prime, you'll be on their, do not use this. and you disrupt the contracting officer, and you hold up the project. And so do you think the contractor also will be happy with you?
No, but still, how do you find out if they did that though? How would you know? Is there a public place they can list who they're using on their contract?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know when a contract is awarded to a company. You know when it's awarded, and you can see that it was awarded and they didn't use you. You didn't get the call, and it was awarded to them. You didn't get the phone call. That means you're not part of the project.
But if they used you and you didn't know it, you can see that as well, right? I'm saying if they listed my company as one of the companies that they use for that project for 8A purposes, but then I didn't know anything about it, I didn't get a part of it. So
it really comes down to relationships. So my suggestion is this here. When you are part of it, whether you are as a sub or as official small business plan, part of the small business plan, you want to foster a good relationship. They're going to use you because they like and know and trust you. Right. And if they don't know and like and trust you, then they're not going to use you, even if your name's on there. But then if they did not use you, you have a few options. One, engage them in a very humble way. Say, hey, congratulations, we won the contracts. When do we start, right?
Exactly.
Don't go and cry about it. Don't go and accuse them. Maybe they just haven't put everything together to start using you, right? Maybe they don't have everything together and they're just behind. And so don't assume that they're not going to use you. So be grace, show a lot of grace in that situation. Hey, I saw that notification that you guys are awarded the project that we've been on that with you. When do we start? And so assume that. If they didn't have the intent to use you, just say, hey, it's been 3 weeks and we haven't heard anything. We really like to, we really want to be part of this here. And so you always want to create a win-win environment to where they're going to always be comfortable with you. Now, in the worst case of scenario where they do cut you out, you do have the option of filing a protest, but to file there's another class of protest, so I can't go too far into it. But to file a protest, it will cost you about $20,000 to $30,000 to file a protest. So you have to weigh that. And if you do file protest, the prime's not happy with you, the agency's not happy with you, so you have to take all that into consideration. And I'll tell you some bad stories in a second, or some stories in a second, nightmare stories in a second. So large companies, small business, and then build your government department team down here. So these are relationships you need. as part of your team here. Teaming is about strategically positioning your company to have the most capabilities to be successful in the government market. You don't have everything. You're a small business. Some of you who are solopreneurs, you are the only person that is working in your company. So a few of you, you're solopreneurs. Some of you, it's a family business, there's 2 or 3 of you. Or you may have a partner, so there's 2 or 3 of you like that. But most of you, they're solopreneurs. You won't have everything that the government needs. And so to do that, you have to strategically position yourself through teaming and joint ventures so that you can have the best chance of success. So in a strategic alliance, it's about building relationship and coming together so that you can go after contracts. And these are the things that you're looking for. To build relationship or to build strategic alliances, you're gonna have to go and network. Network with events. You know, some of you, this is part of your networking event, right? When you come in the room, don't just go and sit. Get to know other people, right? To find out if they're 8A certified, women-owned, what industry you have. There's a few IT companies in the room here. You guys should work together. Because some of you may not be able to handle a $4 million project. You can handle a $500,000 project, but you can't handle a $4 million project. But combining your resources together, you can actually go after bigger projects. Teaming is very important. And then you can identify projects together, larger projects together. And then part of it is identifying who is a good match for you. And in doing that there, you have to look at, okay, let's go and once you identify someone, let's go and develop a strategic plan together. And then let's assess each other to see if we're a good match. You have to go through an assessment phase. And then you have to come to an agreed, assignment of roles and responsibilities. You're good at this here, why don't you handle this side of it? We're good at this side, why don't we handle this side here? And then the responsibility usually is spelled out in the teaming agreement or the joint venture is usually spelled out in that process there. And then you have to negotiate the contract with each other. And who's gonna do what percentage? Now if it's a small company and a large company, percentages doesn't matter. You can do whatever. Large company usually will do a lot of it and you might just get 5%, 10% of the project as a sub. If you're dealing with a certified company, an 8A company, if it's set aside for 8A or women-owned or hub zone, all of the time at a minimal, the certified company have to do 51% of the work. Did you guys catch that? As a certified company, you have to do 51% of the work for it to qualify or for it to be in compliant with SBA rules and regulations. And so, but that's part of the contract negotiation. Now, just because you're 8A, you can do more than 51%. You can do 60, 70, 80%, but that's part of the negotiation with each other to see how you add value to each other on that specific project. Now, each project is different from the next project. So when you have a teaming agreement, the teaming agreement will say, that teaming agreement is only good for one project. A joint venture agreement is good for one project, but a joint venture company is actually good for 3 projects. So when you form a new LLC, that LLC can go after 3 projects together. But you have a agreement to form a new company. That's the new company is separate from the agreement itself. The agreement allows you to do 1 project at a time, but the joint venture company can go after 3 projects together.
3 separate projects.
3 separate projects together, yeah. And I'll go into more details on that in a second. And then there has to be alliances in the operation of it together. You have to, your personnel have to help each other out, and then at some point the project is done, you terminate the alliance or the partnership or the teaming agreement. Usually you don't have to verbally or officially terminate it. The contract says upon completion, then it's done. And so, that's usually automatic. So how do you,
Sorry. So with the joint venture, you said we're going to form an LLC, right? And you said with the teaming agreement, upon the contract, everything ends. So with the joint venture, what happens to that new LLC that is formed?
the LLC lives. The LLC lives forever until you dissolve the LLC. For the purpose of government contracting, the government will only allow you to go bid on 3 projects together through that one LLC.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
For the life of that company.
The life of the company, it's a company, so it can exist forever as long as you want it to exist.
Right.
But for the purpose of government contracting, the government will only allow that joint venture to bid on 3 projects.
For years and years and years.
Now, you can bid on commercial projects together through the joint venture, but you can't bid on federal contracts together. Federal contract, you can only win 3 contracts together through the LLC.
So question then, so what if you did 3 contracts under 8A, then say you had hub zone, that's 3 contracts, whatever type of contract. Do you get what I'm saying?
You do an 8A joint venture.
Oh,
So-
it's an 8A, so then you would do a hub zone.
Yeah, hub joint venture and so forth, yeah. So most of the time joint venture is done through 8A mainly, because the other certification you usually just do teaming.
Oh, for like hub zone and all
Yeah,
that.
normally it's just teaming. And I think the SBA is allowing joint venture to permeate to women-owned and hub zone and serviceable vet. But historically, joint venture has only been used for 8A purposes. Now, why do you think the SBA limit to only 3 projects?
They want to give the opportunity for other companies to do the same thing that company did.
There's some truth to that, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is large company will come and do a joint venture with a small 8A company and take advantage of the 8A company and use it for project after project after project and abuse the 8A program to where they say, Jacqueline, just sip martini in Hawaii and we'll send you a check every month and we're gonna let this joint venture go out there and every month you get $200,000 and there have been abuse like that in the past. And so that's why they limit it to just 3 projects. Now,
After that LLC, what if you form another LLC?
Yes.
You can keep forming LLC.
Yes, you
just
can.
under that particular one.
yes, you can.
Okay.
Let's assume you go AB JV LLC, the next company will be AB JV2 LLC,
Oh,
AB JV3 LLC, and you can keep on going after project after project. But every time you do a joint venture, it has to be approved by the SBA.
Oh,
Yes.
so you got to send that into your BOS?
Yes, yeah, it has to be approved, and we'll go through a few of those in a second. So you have to evaluate to see if there's a match. And you have to ask this question: if all is going well with the current business, why change, right? I mean, if you're able to go out there and bid on projects and win it on your own, and just use subcontractors, maybe you don't need teaming, because teaming creates a layer of commitment, right? Or if you are a sub and you've been subbing forever, and the primes will say, well, we'll use you, but when they get the project, they don't use you as a sub. You might want to use a teaming so where they have to use you. But if it's going well, maybe you don't need it. That might be a question you need to ask. Are our core competencies compatible with targeted market? That's a question where, given our skill set and what we do, is that enough for us to go after other projects? And if it's not, you might want to consider teaming and joint venture. Do we have verifiable positive past performance? This is very critical in the government market. Most small business, especially if you're a new startup, right? Who's been around less than 2 years? Raise your hand. All right, a handful of you, less than 2 years in business. You don't have the past performance. And when you're bidding on projects, you say, well, I can't bid on it because I don't have the past performance. Well, in that situation, this is your question here. If we don't have past performance, we can't bid on project. you might need a teaming partner so that you can get past performance. And it's not necessarily your past, it's their past performance. And when you're writing your proposal, you can write even though you've been around 2 years, you can write your proposal. Team ABC has 40 years of corporate business experience in IT staffing. And together, company A has these team players, these staffing with so much experience. They've been in business for 2 years, and company B have all these different experience. And so it's how you write the proposal, right? You don't say company A has the experience. You say our team have the experience so that it looks like you're qualified. You have to position the proposal to make sure that you qualify. Next question, do we have the critical operational resources? Sometimes you may not have some equipment. Like if you're going after a dredging project and you don't have dredging equipment, you could either rent one when you get awarded a contract, or you can team up with another company that have the dredging equipment. Some IT contracts, Richard, can you give me some water?
Sure.
Some IT contracts require that you have a certain type of staff management software, right? And if you don't have it, guess what? You either go buy it or you team up with another IT company that already have that software, the staffing management software. So that's part of why you might want a team. Another question. Is your firm adequately capitalized, and do you have access to outside financial resources? Do you have money? That's the question. If you don't have money, who do you need to see in here? Richard or Charles, right? If you don't, thanks, Richard. If you don't have money, you need to know people that have money.
How much money do you need? Serious question.
Now, here's a rule of thumb. If you're bidding on a $100,000 project, you want to make sure you have $20,000, about 20% of whatever the project size. You have to cash flow the project to get it started before the government pays you. They're not going to front you the money. In construction, they will give you money for material, but they're not going to give you money for the labor. Some of your subcontractors, they may wait until you're paid for you to pay them, but your employees, they want to get paid every 2 weeks. Your employee's not going to wait 45 days so that you can pay them after that, unless you negotiate with them ahead of time. Jacqueline's giving me out money. She's holding out greens right now. She has money because she's been winning contracts. Now, how many contracts have you won since you started in the government space, the federal space?
3.
3. So 3 is a good start. You got to get to more and more and more, right?
Right.
So money is very important. Rule of thumb is about 20% cash flow so that you can get going. If you are a small business, don't bid on a $3 million project. Please don't. Now, there is a company in Atlanta, Georgia, a lady, she says she's a diva. She's a one-woman operation. I won't name her, and I won't name her company because, it's pending litigations and other stuff. But she won a FEMA contract to $156 million. One-woman operation. She works from a what they call those virtual offices, and she was supposed to supply 30 million meals, and she only did 50,000 meals. So don't go bid on a $150 million project. And if you come and tell me, I'm gonna kick you in the shin. I'm gonna do kung fu on you. I will not come work for you because I know that it's gonna fall apart. Because what's 20% of $156 million? Right? You're not, it's $30 million, and I know anybody in this room have $30 million. Okay, so Charles does. They have unlimited money, so be strategic. Now you might want to team up because your partner has the money. Outside of Richard and Charles, your partner might have the money. They may have the financial resources, and that's why you team up with them. And so and that's very important. That's part of the reason why you team, because they're a strong company. They've been in business for 30 years. They've self-funded everything. They've got lines of credit. The other thing is they have bonding. They have insurance, especially in construction. And you don't, as a small business, you don't have bonding. You're not gonna. About 99% of all construction project requires bonding. And if you don't have bonding, you're not gonna be able to do the work. So you need a partner that has financial means. And you want to say, okay, what are some other constraints? What are some other things that I'm weak at, I don't have? Is it that I know IT staffing, but if I'm in staffing, I don't understand warehouse staffing. I don't understand medical staffing. So you need to look at what other constraints and limitations. Other constraints could be, you're trying to do a project in Florida and you're based in Georgia. It's in Miami. That is a 14-hour, 12, 13-hour drive. You don't want to keep driving every single week to go manage the project down there. You might need a teaming partner down there to manage the project down there. So all those are part of your constraints, right? You have to consider that. What can others offer to improve your competitive position? If they bring other value, then you might need that partners there. Do we have the right people and communicative abilities needed for this project here? And so do you have the ability to, and the right team to fulfill this project? Now, when you're bidding on a project, some project you have to include the resume of the people that's going to be working on the project. You're going to need the project manager's resume. You're going to need the supervisor's resume, and you might need a technical person, like if it's software programming and software engineer, you might need a software engineer, their resume to submit with the proposal. But you haven't hired them yet, right? And so if you haven't hired them, you have two options. You can put a contingency to hire. So you interview a whole bunch of people to meet all the requirements, and you have like 3 people that meets the requirement of the project manager, 3 people that meets the software engineer side, and so forth. So you have the resumes, and you choose one of the resume, and they sign a contingency to hire contract with you, that if you are awarded, that they will work for you. Now they're not obligated. That doesn't stop them from looking for other projects or other contracts or working for somebody else. But that contingency to hire, should you get awarded the contract, that you've already negotiated all the terms with them, and that they, if they're still available, they're going to work for you in the project. So that's a part of how you set up your personnel for projects. Now, in the absence of doing contingency to hire, that you team up with another company that already have those personnel in place, and you submit those resumes. Have we considered our needs for legal guidance and assistance? Anybody in here have an attorney on speed dial? Anybody? Okay. All right, a few of you. Good. Okay, see, that doesn't count. But yeah, it does count because you can call her. So, and that's important. Every business owner needs to have an attorney on speed dial. If you do not have an attorney on speed dial, who do you need to see? You need Legal Shield. One of our alliance partner in here is Legal Shield. It's only $40 a month. $40 a month. Legal Shield gives you a personal attorney. You can speed dial and say, hey, I'm in this situation, and what do I need to do? And they're not going to give you legal advice, but they're going to say, okay, hey, here's what you need to think through and come and see me. And they'll at least give you some ideas of what you need to do, and then you can actually hire their services if it's something you really need to get out of or solve in that situation. Every business needs an attorney on speed dial. I have 2 or 3 attorneys on speed dial. I have never sued anybody in business. So it's not because I want to sue people. I want to make sure that I don't have to sue people. Does that make sense? You want to prevent, not necessarily get into a situation where you need to. And so prevention is better than actually having to take, because when you sue someone or someone sues you, who wins? The attorneys win. They're the one that make all the money. You don't win. But you do need that because in government, we call it government contracts. And contracts has a lot of legalese, and you want someone who understands legalese because at some point you may need to do a real protest and you need some support on that there. Now, if you don't have that, then guess what? You might want to consider a teaming partner that already have attorneys on speed dial. And that's why we're talking about this here. So your team agreement. Your team agreement, will allow the parties to enter into an agreement that will have these different points here. 2 or more companies form a partnership or a joint venture to act as a potential prime or contractor. So in a teaming, one's the prime, one's a sub. In a joint venture, there is no sub or prime. Both of you are the prime together because the joint venture is the prime and both of your company is standing up this joint venture. And so the joint venture is the prime. And so there is no sub in that situation. Both of you are responsible for making sure that the joint venture is successful. So the team agreement will spell that out. And what percentage of work one is doing and the other is doing. And again, if it's a certified set-aside project, then the certified company have to do 51%. Or in some situation, if it's construction or some industry, a minimum of 40% in some situation. A potential prime contractor agrees with 1 or more other companies to have them act as its subcontractors under a specific commercial or government contracts or acquisition program. So the prime makes an agreement with a sub or multiple subs, and this happens in commercial work as well as government work. The Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that was done through a joint venture. There was 4 large companies that the city of Atlanta and the Atlanta Falcons and the NFL came together and said, okay, we're going to award it to these 4 companies, and these 4 companies form a joint venture, and the joint venture goes out and build up the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And for the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, anybody remember what the actual percentage that they must subcontract out to minority-owned businesses? 35%.
That was a private commercial deal.
Yeah, that's a private commercial joint venture.
Okay.
And I'm sharing with you that joint venture happens in the federal market. Today, 95% of the training I'm teaching you applies to federal space. But it does happen in the commercial world also. And when it does happen, you'll see it that there's usually small business participation required with that. Now, DeKalb County, when they do a joint venture, when they award a contract, they can award a contract and say that for this project, we're not awarding to one company. Multiple companies have to come together and form a joint venture and bid on this project as a joint venture. And every now and then you'll see those projects. At the federal space, usually that's never the requirement, but at the county and city level, the contracting officer, the procurement officer will require that it's a joint venture participation versus one company. So it's a little bit different from the federal space. And so there's different variations of joint venture and so forth. Teaming is usually not done, in terms of a team agreement, is usually not done at the city and the local level. It's only done at the federal level. At the local level and state level, one's the prime and they just use whatever sub that they want. So some preliminary things you want to look for when when you're setting up a team agreement. So the critical things is confidentiality. You want to make sure that in this partnership that there's confidentiality. Because in your own company, you can control that, right? But when you're dealing with another company, so before, let's assume that you found a project you're interested in bidding on, and you send it to a potential partner. Well, you call up and say, hey, I've got a project. I've been building this relationship for the last 3 years. They've got a project coming out, and it's more than what I can handle. I know we've been working together. I'd like to include you on this project here. Are you interested? They say yes. Don't send them the project after they say yes. Send them a non-disclosure, non-compete agreement, an NDA with a non-compete clause to it. Because you've just disclosed to them your secret, project. You've been working 2 years on it or 3 years on it, and you tell them. They say, thank you, but we're already working with another team. Maybe they haven't worked with another team, but they decide that between all the potential partnership, you're the weakest link, and so they decide to go with a stronger partner. And so think about that. A confidentiality agreement is important. Sometimes you have to operate on trust, and so in some situations you may not necessarily need to do a confidentiality agreement, but most of the time you want to do that. You also want to have exclusivity. Somebody that's willing to be exclusive with you on that project. And so the agreement should consider exclusivity in there. And there has to be some good faith negotiation. It can't just be one-sided, right? You may be the 8A company or the woman company or the veteran company, but you can't make it all about just you. You have to consider their needs. Why is it that they want to participate on this here with you? It's not just because you need them to help you, it's because you wanted to make sure that they make money as well. How does the agreement should disclose, how do someone withdraw from the teaming agreement? How does that work as well? Because in any business marriage, it's like a real world marriage, right? Sometimes things don't work out. And if someone you love and you can't even work it out with them, guess what? When it comes to money in business, it's even harder. So you want to make sure that there's a exit clause in terms of how to do that. And then document ownership, who manages all the documents? Usually the prime manages the document, and then there's a copy that's given to the sub. But you as a prime, if you are working with a sub and they're not on the team agreement, you don't have to necessarily disclose how big the contract you won. You just only disclose the portion that you're awarding it to them as a sub, but you don't have to tell them everything. But if they're on a teaming with you, you should be open with them because that's build trust, right? But if they're not on a teaming or a joint venture, you don't need to tell your sub, how big the contract is. You don't need to tell them how much your profit margins are and so forth. And financial responsibility. If you're the company that have the financial weakness, then you have to negotiate with the larger company and say, hey, I need you because we don't have the cash flow to get this project started. Don't pretend that you have the money when you don't have the money and the project gets started, and you tell the prime you're the prime and you tell your sub who's a larger company, say, well, can you guys cash flow this project? And they're never going to work with you again. They might do it for that project, but they're not going to work with you again because you bamboozled them and you blindsided them with that there. If you don't have the money to cash flow a $2 million project because you've only handled $500,000 projects in the past, and the reason why you're teaming with the larger company so that you can have more resources, then you need to let them know upfront, and they can choose to partner with you or not in that situation, and disclose that in the agreement. Post-award responsibilities. After the project is done, who is going to close out the project and make sure that everything is done moving forward? And even contract management, I didn't have that up there, but managing the contract while it's in force, how that's going to be, who's going to be responsible for that as well. So your team agreement, I'm not gonna go through everything here because we got a lot of different things to talk through, but this will be available in the download so you guys can look through it. But you should look at, okay, who's gonna write the proposal? If you don't know how to write proposals, you wanna make sure you have a team partner that knows how to write proposal, right? And let them know that, hey, you know what? I need you as a partner because I'm not a strong proposal writer. We're good at doing the work, but we need someone who's strong at writing the proposal. It doesn't matter how good you are as a company in servicing and delivery. If you don't look good on paper, you're never going to get awarded a contract. You have to look good on paper. So that all part is that the proposal. You have to identify, okay, the purpose and the requirement in pursuing this here together. Why are we coming together to pursue this project here? And does it make sense for us to come together? The statement of work, delivery of the task, identify and see who's going to do which part of the work itself. You want to protect each other, and it goes back to confidentiality in terms of proprietary information. You're going to bring in some proprietary knowledge, and they're going to bring in some proprietary knowledge. And in that, you're going to be a better company because of that. You have to protect each other so that they call that corporate espionage, right? You have to protect each other from stealing information from each other. Now, if you want their technology, you have to ask for it. And there may be a financial cost to that, or they could be goodwill and say, you know what, we value you as a partner. We're going to share this with you. And then make sure that you guys are adhering to the obligations to each other. And let's continue here. So how do you choose a partner? Some additional things. Make sure that you clearly communicate the commitment and that there's open communication with each other. Not all partners are a good partner. Even that they may be a good company, but they're not a good partner. Talk through the skills. Make sure that both of you are positive and you're positive in terms of in the eyes of the client. The client's going to view both parties as from a positive view. Make sure that you complement each other and not compete against each other. If you don't, like if you are a plumber and somebody else is a plumber, you may, unless they're a larger company or they have a certification or they have money. If you're both small plumbing company and there's not a lot of value add to each other, you don't need that partner. You want to make sure that it's complementary. Make sure that they have good business and a good business culture, and that there's ethics, that they're not going to take the shortcut, right? It was easy for me to walk out. Remember I told you about the house, all the jewelry I found? I could have walked out. There's no surveillance camera in the house. I could have walked out with a bag of jewelry and I'll be $50,000 more, right? But I chose not to, because personally, I have to say, okay, I have to be able to sleep at night, because no one may have seen me do it, but I still have to live with myself. And so there's personal ethics that is involved in the process there. So we're running out of time, so there's a lot more to cover. But I'm gonna try to squeeze a few quick more things and then address some of the 8A stuff, and then we'll wrap up here. So you have to make sure that that there's ethics. Now, there is a situation where one of the 8A companies that we were working with, they teamed up with another construction company, and when the project was awarded, it was mistakenly awarded to the other company, and the other company took off with the project and ran with it, and they never got any piece of the project. So make sure you vet people and make sure that there's real trust with each other, because you're entering into a short-term marriage. It's a Hollywood marriage. That's what a teaming agreement is, and so you enter into a partnership with somebody.
So was that an 8A deal, or was that? That
was 8A. The other company was 8A also, but they were graduating.
8A companies.
One was a 8A, they were graduating, and by the time the award was going to come out, when they bid, they were 8A, but by the time the award came out, they were going to be a graduate out of the 8A program. Right. So they decided to team together so that in the event that their 8A did expire, but they could still win on the project.
Because they get 2 more years if they get a 8A firm and in their last year, get ready to graduate, if they get a contract that's longer than that.
They can keep the
Extended.
contract. They can keep the contract for the life of the contract.
That's what I'm saying, they can still work under 8A,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But are they still considered a registered 8A firm? Because they matriculated from the program.
Yeah.
But the project is still going forward. Are they still considered an 8A firm?
My understanding
They-
is that they're still considered an 8A firm as long as they got an 8A contract in motion.
They can perform and fulfill on the 8A contract. They cannot bid on new 8A contracts.
They can't bid on the new
Yeah.
one. So who, I don't know who it is, but I'm just trying to see, was it the company that was graduating, that ran away with the project?
Yes.
They really wasn't supposed to be
Yes.
the prime on that.
Yeah, that they weren't supposed to be the prime,
Mhm.
but the SBA made the mistake.
They
And
can reverse that? No?
the other company just, because it came from GSA, it was awarded to in the 8A contract, SBA is the awardee.
Right.
And then the SBA assigns it to a company,
Mhm.
the 8A company, to perform the work. And so they assigned it to the wrong 8A company, and the wrong 8A company excluded the other 8A company.
Instead of being honest.
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So that happens. That, I mean,
Yeah, you know, it's
So that they can't recoup that award back once they recognize the mistake or the error, right? Because that's a compliance issue then, right?
no,
Seems like they
it's,
should.
it was properly awarded by GSA. It was mistakenly reassigned incorrectly from the SBA. And once the award letter is awarded to a company, you have to unravel all of that. And the SBA said, you guys just work it out together.
But
They didn't want to look back.
Yeah.
The bottom line is SBA didn't want to look back. Yeah.
But then, so the two companies couldn't just work that out? They didn't want to work it out?
The other one didn't want to work it out.
We wanted to steal.
Hey, I got a quick question about team agreements and joint venture.
Mhm.
That's why.
What's the best fiscal way to collect revenue? So is there an escrow account? How?
Okay, yeah, so let me address that question there.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
The question is, when you form a joint venture, how do you manage the money? In a teaming, money flows from the government to the prime cuts check to all the subs. So that's very clear.
Mhm.
In a joint venture, the joint venture has to go open up a separate bank account specifically for the joint venture. Money goes from the government to the joint venture bank account. And then from that, there's an operating agreement of who has access to the bank account and how money is managed in that. So the operating agreement is however you guys decide.
Operating agreement under the joint venture?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an operating agreement. Just like any other LLC, there's an operating agreement for LLC. You need to have an operating agreement for the joint venture.
And those terms are based on whatever the two you agree on.
Yes, but usually if you're the 8A, you want to make sure that you are on the account because you don't want it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to be on the account. Usually both of you are on the account. And you structure that, any checks written in the operating agreement, any checks written over $1,000, both signature must be on it. And if they do it, because the bank's not going to check to see if there's two signature. If they do it, that means they are operating outside of the terms of the agreement and they are going rogue on you in that situation. All right, so for 8A, let me touch upon 8A quickly because most joint ventures are done through 8A. So in an 8A joint venture, the 8A is the reason why large company or other company wants to team up with the 8A company. When you form the joint venture has all the strength of the large company. The joint venture also has all the strength of the small business. The small business, when they are 8A company, the joint venture is treated as an 8A company. So if you are a non-8A company and you want to, and assuming that you don't qualify for 8A, maybe you're not you just don't have the ability to qualify for 8A. Because there's a few reasons why you can't get to the 8A program. If you ever defaulted on a business, SBA business loan, you can't get an 8A. If you owe back taxes, you can't get an 8A certification. So there's a few reasons why you can't get, and let's assume that you can't get an 8A and you want to have 8A status to bid on contract, doing a joint venture allows your company to have the status of 8A to bid on contract. But when you're bidding, you have to bid under the joint venture, not your own personal company. So a large company, they can use the 8A to go and bid on projects, and that's the benefits of that. All right, so we are out of time and there's more to cover. So
Just one quick question.
yes.
Do they have to see a lawyer to get a joint venture agreement that represents all the best practices?
That's a good question. Anytime you enter into agreement, the suggestion is you got to have an attorney to review all your legal agreements. So that's normally, and you can do that through Legal Shield. Now, if you don't have a team agreement or a joint venture agreement, when you're dealing with a large company, you cannot enter into a joint venture with a large company unless you have a mentor protege agreement with them. So to enter into a joint venture with a large company, you must have a mentor protege relationship. So you need a mentor protege agreement, and then you need a joint venture agreement, and then you go form a company with a large company. And so that's kind of how it would work with a large company. If you need all of these different templates here, buy the Gov Fast Track software. The Gov Fast Track software we have, which is $999, it have all of these teaming agreement, 4 or 5 different teaming agreements, templates and samples in there. If the mentor project samples, we have all these templates in the Gov Fast Track software. Instead of paying thousands and thousands of dollars to an attorney, get the software, and it has all the templates and samples in there already. One last question, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, Everett?
You mentioned that you can have 2 or 3 lawyers on speed dial. So like I have a general business attorney.
Yeah.
With a growing organization, would you recommend a specialist, in other words, an attorney that specializes in contracts, or what beyond a business attorney, general business attorney?
Yes, in the government market, you do want to have a general counsel, right? Someone who understands business in general. And so you do need to have someone on speed dial for that. And if you build a friendship with them, they're not going to clock you in every time you call them. If that's the case, that's not the attorney you want on speed dial. You want an attorney. Like if you call the AFLAC team, you say, hey, I'm thinking about setting up some stuff. They're not going to say, okay, you have to pay me to help you. There's just some goodwill that people will do. Good business people will just do goodwill without charging and nickel and diming you. But if you're going to use up multiple hours of their time, you do need to consider it, because you sell your time too. So you want to be conscious of that and don't take up their time. If it's 5 minutes, they shouldn't charge you. If it's 45 minutes, that you might want to consider paying them. So you want a specific attorney that understands government contracting, and we know about 4 or 5 attorneys that understands government contracting, and we will be more than happy to introduce you to a few of them, and you choose which one you work best with. All right, so at this time here, I want to really thank everybody for coming out. I have so many slides that I can't even go through today because there's just too much information on this topic here. I'd like to ask AFLAC to come up here and share briefly about how awesome they are and some of their programs. So AFLAC, yeah, okay. And then after that, Southstar, I'd like for them to come and take a few minutes to share a little about who they are and what they do.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shanita Wickfall. I am a district sales leader for the state of Georgia for AFLAC. And we're really excited to be here hosting breakfast. So please eat, and eat some more. It's on us. Just want to share a little bit about what it is that we do. One of the reasons that we are partnering with GCA is to connect with business owners. As you're taking your business to the next level and partnering or acquiring talent to build your business, one of the things that's going to make you more attractive is having your total benefit solutions in place already. And so from a business perspective, what does that really look like? And what are some of the benefits? Number one, it takes care of your business. If you are a business owner, you understand that having healthy employees, whether they're W-2s or 1099s, support a healthier business. Not only for yourself, because you are the key component to the functionality and the success of your business. If you are not well and you are not healthy, that is the start of the breakdown of what it is that you're trying to do. And that negates everything that you're learning here. Also, as you're going to market and you're hiring, people want to work for a place where they can acquire benefits. benefits. I know when I graduated from college, you know, I negotiated for salary, but more than that extra dollar, I wanted to know what did the benefits look like. So from AFAC's perspective, we're able to come in and help you craft what that picture looks like for your business. And it doesn't matter whether you have W-2 employees or 1099s, we can put something together that is customized to your business. There is no direct cost to your business. So unlike major medical, the benefits are designed to be 100% employee, and that's why it's customizable. Number two, there's also a tax benefit savings to your business. So most folks enjoy somewhere between a 5 to 15% strengthening to their bottom line for their business. This helps you blow out a wall and expand. This helps you acquire more supplies. This helps you hire more manpower. Lastly, just in terms of, you know, you might just be a smaller business. In much respect, we instantly become HR for your organization because we service all of our own accounts, all of our own clients. If people have questions about their claims, if they have a need, they have an opportunity to work with us directly. And so your employees are not knocking on your door saying, listen, can you advance me my next paycheck because my kid fell off and broke their arm? Or, you know, my wife just got diagnosed with cancer. I really need some help. It takes the pressure off you as the business owner, as well as bringing some money back into your business. So if you have a second, please connect with me. Whether you are a sole proprietor and you have not yet hired employees, or if you do have employees and you have 3 or more, again, it doesn't cost your organization anything to offer your folks benefits, and the benefits are significantly less expensive when they can get them through you. So take a moment to come with me. Let me squeeze my duck. I'll make it clap for you. Let me give you a business card. And we'll take it from there. So I just want to thank Abe for allowing us to come and feed you guys this morning and share a little bit about what it is that we do. And I look forward to connecting with you.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Charles. I'm the new guy with Southstar. Southstar's had a long and strong strategic relationship with GCA for a while. I'm the new guy, but the cool thing about it is before Southstar, I actually did corporate relations with GCA. So that's pretty cool. I'm back at home. It's good to be in one of the classes. Basically, it's my job to just go around and build strategic relationships with entrepreneurs and figure out how I can be helpful to you. Lucky for me, usually that's somewhere around finding some money for you. Southstar really doesn't care if you've had some challenges in the past or your company's kind of small or something like that. We think that we have solutions to get that 20% to fund those contracts. What I do all day is take people to lunch and coffee and figure out how much money you need and how I can get it to you. Is there anybody that wants to go to lunch or coffee and let's figure out how to get some money for you? Just raise your hand. Anybody else? Free for lunch or coffee?
Depends on what much.
You know, it's all me and we're pretty much where we want to go.
Ooh, popcorn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie.
Yeah. Now here's my thoughts. You want to engage these alliance partners here before you need it. So you're thinking, okay, I've only won 1 or 2 small contracts. I don't need it yet. If you wait until you need money, then it's too late. Charles cannot do miracles. If you win a contract tomorrow and you need to staff someone in 2 days, Charles cannot do miracles. You have to put these things in place ahead of time. If you're trying to recruit talent, you want to make sure you engage AFLAC ahead of time, see the programs that they have, put those things in place, put it in place for yourself so that you can have it in place for your staff when they do come on board. So do those things ahead of time. A few quick reminders before we wrap up here. We have our heavy hitters and big spenders event coming up on August 22nd. That's going to be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The last big event we did like this here, some of the companies that came here, they actually met some of the participants here, and they're actually doing work. In fact, they're doing 30 homes, renovation of 30 homes in Puerto Rico right now. And they have 100,000 homes to work on. So they're doing 30 of 100,000, and they met the company that allowed them to go do the work there at the event here. For this event here, we're gonna have Kimberly King. She's with Georgia Department of Transportation. She's gonna be here. We also have Gwendolyn Miles. Anybody knows who Gwen is with? CDC. If you are IT, you need to come and meet Gwen. CDC is the largest spender of federal dollars in the state of Georgia. So, and they need a lot of IT support. So you need to come and meet Gwen here. We got Carol Thompson with the SBA. She's going to share with you about all the different programs that they have. And Larry Scott with the City of Atlanta. City of Atlanta is in our backyard. And so you got to do business with the City of Atlanta if you are a government contractor. So come here. And at this event here, we're going to do your capability pitch competition. So this event is going to be awesome in that way. But let me talk about the capability pitch. You get to win. First, we're going to train you over a series and starting in July. We're going to train you on how to do your capability pitch when you meet with people. So we're going to teach you what is a capability statement, what's a capability video, what's a capability brief, and then we're going to teach you your capability pitch, which is your capability elevator pitch. So we're going to teach you that. And once we teach you through a series of training, we're going to assign you in teams, and then you're going to have a coach. And are these the coaches here? No, so these are the judges. So they're going to be the judges on August 22nd. But then we're going to assign you, I think, who are our coaches?
Well, yeah, City of Atlanta.
City of Atlanta is going to be one of the coaches, but we also said there were other coaches too. Yeah, we'll figure out who the other coaches are. But we're going to have coaches, and we're going to coach you on how to do your capability pitch. And then once you're going to get to practice and so forth. And then once you practice, we're going to narrow it down to the top 3, and the top 3 will pitch on August 22nd. And then at the August 22nd, you get to pitch with these judges. These are people who spend a lot of money. And so you don't have to go meet with them. They come here and you pitch in front of them. And hopefully, when you pitch to them, you actually get to do business with them. But we also have grand prize to everybody. So the grand prize is a $20,000 scholarship in our Gov Accelerated Coaching Program. And the most successful companies that we have worked with have gone through our coaching program. And most of the success stories that you've seen have gone through a coach. Now, as a member, you come to classes, you win also. We have a good number of companies that come to classes just like this here, and you go out there and you succeed on your own without, with your own self, do-it-yourself approach. But the most success that we have are businesses that have gone through one of our coaching programs, and this is a $20,000 grand prize. So the winner, based on the judges' requirements there, we're going to give out a scholarship for $20,000, and you will be in our coaching program, and in our accelerator program, you get three people to help you. You get a proposal writer who's going to write your first proposal, and then all your other proposals, they will critique it and say, hey, do this, do this, do this. So they're going to write one proposal, you can have a template, and then they're going to review all your proposals. A proposal writer on your staff is about $80,000 a year. So that's an incredible value there. You also get a business coach. We have about 5 or 6 different business coaches that we work with. And your business coach, they're going to encourage you, they're going to support you, and they're going to hold you accountable to the work. In the Gov Accelerated program, if you fall behind, we kick you out of the program. So it's a serious commitment. If you commit to the program, you cannot fall behind. You have to do 80% of the work, because you also get the Gov Fast Track software. If you don't have it already, that's part of the $20,000 grant prize. You get the Gov Fast Track software, and in the Gov Fast Track software, it outlines all 970 steps that you have to implement in your business. And we hold you accountable to the work. And if you don't do the work, I personally taught all the coaches Kung Fu. And they know how to do company. So they're gonna support you and help you to be successful. So make sure you register for this year. To be in the pitch competition, it's only $99 to be in it. And you get the classes, the 3 classes, you get that, and you get the entry fee to the event. Even if you are not one of the top 3 that makes it to the final pitch on the 22nd, you actually get a ticket to come to the event, which is a $50 ticket to come to the event also. So you're gonna get a lot of value out of it. Go to, the website is GovEvent.
Association.org, the site that you do all your event registration.
GovEvent.com or Gov Association, you'll see it on the events page and register for the pitch competition and then do that there. And then all that is awesome. And then in July, we have our July Association meeting, which is coming up the 2nd Tuesday of July. And that's going to be July 10th, right after the holiday. And we're going to be right here. And then we're going to bring in past or companies that are still active in the business who are winning contracts. And when they come in, they're going to share with you the mistakes that they made, the things that they did do right, and they're going to share with you what you can do to be successful like them. So it's okay to hear from me, right? But you know, I'm Abe. I just, you know, what I know are theories and practical experience that I've done with other companies. But when you come and hear from these companies specifically, you can touch them, feel them, and ask them questions, because the same pain that you're going through, they've gone through it, or they're going through it right now. So we're bringing Dr. Carlos all the way from Texas. He's coming here. You need to come because he's in medical supply, medical equipment, pharmaceutical products. And so you might be a good connection to where you can start selling drugs, legal drugs. He has that. So he'll be a good partner for you. We have Andrea with Powerhouse Pest Control. She is like a little engine that can, right? Pest control, is there a government contract? Well, guess what? The federal government has 571,000 facilities, and they need pest control on every single facility. And so she's in the space. She'll share with you her experience. And then we have Crystal Spellman. Crystal's going to share. She's in IT. And so come meet Crystal. She's a great networker. She learned how to write proposal for herself. She learned, and she's applying for her AA. And so she's a do-it-yourself person. And so she learned all this stuff on her own, coming here to get some help from us, but applying it and going out there doing it. And so come and hear about July 10th. And so without further ado, I appreciate everybody coming out, and I will see you guys next Wednesday. What are we doing next Wednesday?
This is Action Coach teaching 3 keys to business success.
So Action Coach is going to do the 10:30 presentation next Wednesday. They're going to talk about 3 keys to success for your business that you need to have. So come in and join us for that event. I'll see you guys next week. Yes.
So is there a Dallas branch of GCA?
Is there a what?
Dallas branch of GCA?
A Dallas franchise?
From Texas.
We don't have a chapter there yet, but later this year we're going to set up a chapter in Texas.
Which one is Houston or Dallas?
We're choosing between Dallas or Houston. We don't know which one.
Because my niece, she's AA certified. She's in Houston.
Okay.
My brother, he's a community, he's working with getting community acclimated into all of this kind of stuff.